And it was a terrible accident today at a small airport near Aransas Pass. A man reportedly fell from the roof of a building at the McCampbell-Porter Airport. Our Michael Gibson was there and tells us more about what happened.
A group of workers with a company called Mexican National were doing Hurricane Harvey related repairs up on the roof of a hangar at TP McCampbell-Porter Airport on Thursday morning. Just before 10:30, one of the men ended up falling to his death.
He had on his safety harness, but he didn't have it hooked up correctly apparently, and he fell off the top of the building and it killed him.
The 42-year-old victim has not been identified, and the Justice of the Peace has ordered an autopsy in this case.
The JP, Judge Diaz, has ordered an autopsy to determine if there was any contributing factors other than that to the fact that he fell off.
County Judge Terry Simpson tells 3 News that the Commemorative Air Force leases that hangar from the county. The organization uses it to house this museum and a collection of antique aircraft. The airport manager believes that Mexican National was a subcontractor and was made up of a group of family members. The workers had just started doing the roof repairs 2 days ago. And it's the second major incident at this airport in less than a year's time. Last July, a man on a mower at the airport tried to get across a runway in front of a plane and ended up causing it to crash. Fortunately, there were no injuries in that case. From TP McCampbell-Porter Airport, Michael Gibson, 3 News.